Hi everyone, Leanne here from Jaded Blossom, and it's time for our hop. I'm using the coffee stain stencil, the coffee bean stencil, the coffee tag stamp set, the frappe birthday stamp set, and I'm using the coffee dies, and I'm using the stylized rectangles. So I'm making a quick card set today for you, and I'm using these stencils with some Distress Oxide ink. I'm just, sticking it down to my Wendy Art Make Art station with the magnets, and I'm using Distress Oxide Vintage Photo ink with a Tailored Expression blender brush, and I'm just laying down color over this stencil. You don't have to be perfect, doesn't have to have the perfect blend. Really, I'm just making my own pattern paper here. This is adorable. I love the whole coffee ring splatter look. Of course, if this was my table, I'd be super angry. but it's pretty cute on paper. I'll take it with the paper. So I'm basically making 2 cards of each pattern. So I'll have 4 cards when I'm done this today. So just filling in the stencil really quickly. I'm just going to be showing you making it with each stencil itself. I'm not going to make all 4 cards while you watch because, the 2 are going to be repeats. So it's pretty simple. So isn't that cute? So that is on Paper Tray Inks Craft Cardstock. So now I'm using the coffee bean stencil. Jaded Blossom has been releasing some adorable new stencils. I'm loving using them. It's always great to add stencils to your repertoire of crafting supplies. It's kind of nice when you don't have the correct, the right themed paper for what you're going for, and you can make your own, which is kind of nice. So these background pieces that I'm stenciling on are 5.5 by 4 1/4, which is an A2 size. I'll be cutting it down with the stylized rectangle die, the largest one, which will give me roughly a 4 by 5 1/4 inch wonky rectangle to put on top of my A2 size vertical cards. And like I said, that's the largest of the stylized rectangles. And I just quickly, grabbed my pieces of cardstock to do that. Gives me a spot where I can put the magnets. Now I went ahead and cut my coffee dies out, all using the same craft cardstock. I'm kind of going for like a monochromatic look. Something that's kind of gender neutral. I tend to go really girly, and then, when I'm trying to give something to the guys that don't like the girly stuff, they're kind of shut out. So I'm trying to get some gender neutral stuff going on. So I'm just adding color to all my die cuts using the same Vintage Photo Distress Oxide ink, the same blending brush, and I'm actually taking ink from the background of the Wendy Vecchi Make Art station and just applying it to the edges so you don't waste any ink that way. So there is the stylized rectangle die, the largest one, and I went ahead and cut all my backgrounds out with it. Now I'm going to be using the same ink around the edges. I didn't bother changing out that Wendy Vecchi Make Art station from Ranger. It's got a nice slick surface and it's great for blending on. So I just thought, it's already a mess, might as well make more mess, right? So there we are, just adding it. I'm kind of giving it a nice vintage look, which is fun. And I don't always go for the vintage look. That's kind of more Candace Pelfrey's look. I love her vintage inking and all that. It always looks great. So here I am. I'm going to be stamping the sentiments on my card, and this is how I get a perfectly centered sentiment on that coffee wrap. So I just cut it out of a larger piece of cardstock, lined it up in my Misty. I put my little piece of cardstock in, my little wrapper in there. I'm using VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, and I'm going to be stamping right onto the center. And then for each subsequent coffee wrapper, it's in the right place. So it's just kind of handy that way. I think I learned that trick from Jennifer McGuire or someone like that. She always gives us the best tricks, right? So this is how you been. Now I'm going to be stamping sentiments on the inside of my cards. These are all A2 sized vertical cards, 4.25 by 11 inches, scored at 5.5 inches with my Teflon bone folder and my Martha Stewart scoreboard. You can use any scoreboard, but I do like the Teflon bone folders. And like I said, the Misties are great for, lining up your stamps and doing multiple stamping when you're making a set. It just makes it super easy. So there I am. I'm just going to be lining up my sentiment using that little stencil. I think that's from Simon Says Stamp. It's just a little clear piece of acetate with lines on it, and it makes lining up things really easy. For me, it's a perfect A2 sized. So now I'm just adding my sentiments to the inside of the cards. It's always harder to stamp them after you've done the card. So if I can remember, I like to stamp them first. So there I am. I've got all my cards. Now I'm going to be scoring all my cards, like I said, at 5.5 inches to give me a vertical A2 size card. And, you know, using the Martha Stewart scoreboard and the Teflon bone folder, like I said, you don't have to use a Martha Stewart scoreboard, but I do recommend getting the Teflon bone folder. You just get great little folds and no marks. So this is a piece of paper left over from the Reminisce set Coffee and Tea. It's just a little 1-inch slice of the coffee bean paper, and I'm going to decorate the inside of my cards. I tend to do this a lot with like leftover pieces of cardstock that matches the front, just to give it a little something. So I'm just going to, you know, put it right across the bottom, and there you go. I added it with my ATG tape this time. I believe I ended up adding the rest of them with my Simon Says stamped craft tacky glue. Oh, there's my Simon Says stamped craft tacky glue. Now I'm going to be putting together my little coffee to go cups. Like I said, I kept it all monochromatic, all one color, you know, just so it can be, you know, more gender neutral. Now I'm adding on my little sentiment, which is my coffee wrapper. And it says, how you been? And all the insides of my cards are going to be like birthday sentiments. But, you know, like I said, for, you know, anybody. So one of them, two of them say espressively for you on your birthday. And the other two say wishing you a latte fun on your birthday. And those are both from the Frappe birthday stamp set. So here I'm just quickly putting together all these coffee cups. This is what I do when I, you know, assembly line create. You know, if you're creating one, you might as well create a few. And I do it whenever I can here and there, you know, for the ones that I'll want to make more of. If it's a simpler design, you know, you don't want to have something too intricate. You'll be going forever trying to make these cards. Now, yeah, I really like this Simon Says Stamp Craft Tacky Glue. It really holds well, comes out of the bottle super well, no problems. I'm using my EK Success reverse tweezers there too. So there are my finished little background pieces, and I'm going to be applying them to the fronts of my A2 size cards with, oh no, actually, I skipped ahead. Sorry guys. I'm wrapping my card bases or card layers with twine. This is my little trick to make it look like I tied the bow on the top. So I just wrap it around 3 times, use Scotch tape on the back, try to keep my pieces of twine even as I can. That's We Are Memory Keepers twine. It just kind of matched what I was going for. Kind of matched the same color as the Distress Oxide Vintage Photo Ink. Now I'm applying my 3M foam tape to the back. You'll notice that I'm leaving a gap where the twine is, because otherwise you get a bump, and that's no fun. So, like I said, applying my 3M foam tape, that rips off really easily, and then I'll be applying that to my card bases. I do this to all 4 cards, but I think I just show you the one just to save some time. So I'm just trying to center it. Oh, I'm not even really in the frame, but you get the picture. So I'm just sort of centering it on my A2 size card here. And I go ahead and do that to all 4 cards. And now I've got to tie some bows for these cards. So I'm using my Bow Easy. That's how I get great bows every time. And I just quickly cut off a piece of twine. I'm making a triple bow, so 3 loops. So I wrap that around 3 times. Super easy. You're using the nice thing is that when you're making, you know, bows for similar cards, they're all the same size using the Bow Easy, which is quite, you know, which is awesome when you're, you know, mass creating like I am. And there we go. You quickly pull it through and knot it. And Bob's your uncle. You've got a great little bow. You got to get a Bow Easy if you don't have one. Super, super good. I use them for tying all my ribbon bows and all my twine bows. Just nice and easy. Now I'm just going to cut off the tails, and there we go. So now I'm going to be putting this card together. So I'm just applying some 3M foam tape to the back of my coffee to go cups. And I leave a little spot for where the twine is, just so you don't get any bumps, because no one wants any bumps on their cards, right? So there we are, and I'm just going to apply that to my card front at the lower right-hand corner of the card base. There we are. I like when I'm using brown ink. I like to pull out a black for my sentiment because it just makes it pop kind of in the background. So here I'm using a glue dot, and I like to roll it up in my fingers, and I'll stick it behind the twine that I have wrapped around my card, and I'm going to gather it all up together like it's been tied. And that's kind of a trick. So when you're, doing a bow, with ribbon, or if you're doing it with twine and you want to make a faux bow, you got to gather the back to make it look like you've actually tied a knot. It just makes it look better. So now I'm going to be applying my little bow. See how it covers it up? It kind of looks like I tied that, right? And we know I did not. I used my Bow Easy, and I'm going to stick it on after, because I can't tie a bow once it's attached. I can't tie twine once it's attached to a card. No, no, no. It would be a terrible mess. So there we are. I just stick it on, and isn't that cute? It's perfect. So I go ahead and I do that to all 4 cards. And now I'm going to be, and there's the inside. Isn't that cute? Super easy. So now I'm going to add a little bit of a decoration to my card. I'm using, what are they called? They're Close to My Heart No Worries sequins. And they already have little glue dots behind them, which is kind of handy. Now, I don't know if these are still available, but you can use any sequence, really any embellishment. And I just used a group of 3 just to, just so you have a really nice, 3s kind of balance out nice. It looks like it's, what is it, the rule of 3s, triangle. That's what I'm going for. I put one on the cup just to give it a little cute look. And now I'm going to be adding my Nuvo Vintage Drops. These are not shiny like the crystal drops. They've dry with a matte finish, which is quite nice. So I'm going to be adding those to the center of all of my sequins to cover up the hole. I'm just going to test it out to make sure it's flowing okay on my cardstock, just so you don't make a boo-boo after all this hard work, right? There we are. Now, I believe all of our design team have some amazing projects to show you for this hop. It's awesome. And you're not going to want to miss any of it. This has been an excellent release. I can't wait to get started using the rest of it. And like I said, isn't that cute? I thought it turned out really well. So there we are. I'm just going to add the same Nuvo Vintage Drops to each card, along with the No Worries sequence to each card. And like I said, this in the exact same place. So once you choose your placement, you do the same on all the rest of the 3 cards. And it just makes mass production, like I said, super easy. When you're making doubles or triples or quadruples, it goes really quick that way. And there we are. I like to hold my little sequins with my EK Success reverse tweezers. A lot of times I use my Studio Katia embellishment wand, but these already have little glue dots on the back, and I didn't want, it wouldn't pick that up because that's just wax that usually it'll stick to sequins or whatever, great. But if it's stuck down to the sheet with a glue dot, you're going to be wrestling with it. So that's why I use my reverse tweezers here. And it's just for placement. And then I'll quickly add my Nuvo Crystal Drops, or Nuvo Vintage Drops, sorry. These are in chocolate chip, and I'll be adding them to all the sequins like I did before, just to, add a little something, something, but not too much bling because, that way it'll, like I said, more gender neutral, not so one way or the other. It'll, they're kind of good for everybody, these cards that way. And they'd be cute to give us a little card set too, pop them in a box with some coffee, some nice A2 sized envelopes, even craft envelopes would be kind of nice, That'd be nice. And it'd be really cute, I think. Coffee flavored candies, flavored coffees, coffee pods, all of that stuff. So anyway, thank you so much for stopping by and watching me create these 4 cards for you. I hope you learned something today. I don't know. I try to teach some tricks along my way, and hopefully you like what I came up with. Pretty cute, eh? And that's all. Thank you so much for dropping by, and we'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.